I'm Alex Averial with the VOA Special English Education Report. In recent years, Bill Gates has given financial support to improve American education. In 2009, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation launched a Measures of Effective Teaching project. The project tests the new way to recognize what makes a good teacher. Its goal is to help educators and policymakers identify and support good teaching. The study is being carried out in public school systems in 7 American cities. Thousands of teachers volunteered to take part. They agreed to have their classes recorded on video, but only for observation by expert researchers. Last spring, the project collected digital videos of 13,000 lessons in the classrooms taught by the teachers. They were in grades 4 through 9. Researchers also collected information from students. They asked students to report their opinions of the teacher's classroom. Students were also tested in mathematics, English, and biology. Officials recently released early results of Project Story. The report says teachers' past success in raising students' score on tests is one of the strongest signs of their ability to do so again. This is known as a teacher's value added. The teachers with the highest value added scores on state tests also help students understand math or show reading ability. The results also say students know effective teaching when they experience it. The students gave comments on whether or not their teachers cared about them. They also gave opinions on how much teachers controlled or managed student behavior in classrooms. The report found that classrooms where students reported positive experiences were more likely to show greater learning gains. Another finding showed that combining different sources of information helped administrators provide better comments and suggestions to teachers. In many cases, administrators have been basing their comments on student test scores only. The Measures of Effective Teaching projects continued through 2012, when final results will be released. Researchers plan to test a new measure that examines what teachers know about how to teach a subject. Experts say these findings could also help create better training and development for teachers. For EVO Israeli English, I'm Alex Villarreal. This is VOA Special English Economic Report. The United States Post Office has history as long as the nation's. The Second Continental Congress appointed Benjamin Franklin as the first Postmaster General in 1775. In September, the current Postmaster General, Patrick Donahue, brought an urgent message to a Senate committee. He told the Committee on the Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs that the post office could need more money by the end of the month. Without the enactment of comprehensive legislation by September 30th, the Postal Service will default on the mandated $5.5 billion payments to the Treasury to pre-fund retiree health benefits. Our situation is urgent. The Post Service had losses about $6 billion for the 9-month period ending of June. That could grow to $10 billion for years. Part of the deficit, the $5.5 billion payment to the Federal Retirement Plan for postal workers. McDonough is asking Congress to approve huge changes to the Postal Service. He wanted to cost over 100,000 workers, close thousands of post offices, and end Saturday mail delivery. He said the service needs to operate more like a business. The Postal Service is responsible for its own financing and not part of federal budget, but not doesn't take part in federal retirement and health plans. It says it had been paid too much to federal retirement plans and wants at least $7 billion returned. McDonough also wants to pull the Postal Service out of the federal benefit plans. He said the service proposals could cut $20 billion by 2015 and return it to profitability. John Berry is director of Federal Office of Personnel Management, which supervises federal retirement and health plans. He said the Obama administration would soon announce its own plan. At the hearing, Senator Susan Collins criticized the administration for not having a plan already. Leaders of two labor unions representing postal workers had also criticized the postal cuts. The United States Postal Service had over 560,000 employees. It reported revenue of $67 billion last year, more than either of its biggest private competitors, FedEx or UPS. But as the amount of physical mail decreases, so too have earnings from postal service operations. For VOA Special English, I'm Alex Villarreal. This is VOA Special English Economist Report. Financial ministers from Euro area met in Poland the middle of September to discuss the Greek debt crisis. American Treasury Secretary Tim Geithner joined them. Fabian Julich, chief economist at the European Policy Center in Brussels, said the United States were right to get involved. The intervention from U.S. has also shown that least the risk that the stability of the financial system as a whole, the global financial system, may be under threat again. Earlier, the leaders of France, Germany, and Greece held a conference call to discuss how to contain Europe's deepening financial crisis. Germany and France are Europe's two largest economies. 17 European Union countries use the euro as their currency. On September 15, five major central banks agreed to lend additional dollars to European banks in Eurozone. The European Central Bank said 3-month loans will provide as many dollars as banks need. The operations will end in December. The European Central Bank is acting with United States Federal Reserve, the Bank of England, the Bank of Japan, and Swiss National Bank. The elements have left European bank share and the major European stock list. The Paris-based Organization Economic Cooperation and Development had lowered the growth estimates for the euro area. In Greece, the economies had shrunk this year. German Chancellor Angela Merkel urged European nations to do everything possible to avoid and control insolvency by Greece. On September 13th, she warned that problem would quickly spread if Greece failed to pay its international rescue loans. And she said, if the euro fails, Europe fails. The next day, European Commission President Jose Manuel Barroso spoke to European Parliament. He announced that the Commission would probably create Eurobonds. The idea is for European governments to jointly guarantee their debts. Germany and France have opposed such bonds. Ms. Barroso also has the current system that lets individual countries easily block policy in not working. I am convinced there needs a deeper and more result-driven integration. Our system based solely intergovernment cooperation has not worked in the past and will not work in the future. For VOA Special English, I'm Alex Villarreal. This is VOA Special English Economist Report. On August 2nd, President Obama signed the bill raising the nation's borrow limit. That debt deal, however, failed to keep stock markets from dropping on economic concerns about the United States and the world. The legislation followed months of arguing that only added to those concerns. Congress sent the bill to the president on the last day that government said it had enough money to make all of these payments. The Budget Control Act of 2011 lets the government seek financing to pay its bill until 2013. Congress agreed to lift the debt ceiling by over $2 trillion, but also make spending cuts. President Obama said this compromise guaranteed more than $2 trillion in deficit reduction. It's important for us to ensure that as a nation we live within our means. Yes, the law also allows keep making key investment in things like education and research that lead to new jobs and assures that we're not cutting too abruptly where the economy is still fragile. Richard Gordon formerly worked with the International Monetary Fund. He said there risk in the cutting the federal budget too much when unemployment is high. If the federal government does not put money into the economy will stall, and that will result in another recession, and that cannot help anybody. The nation debt is more than $14 trillion at the end of last year. Private investors in the United States have a large share, 46% of that government debt. China was the single largest foreign holders of treasury securities, followed by Japan and Britain. The Budget Control Act called for almost $1 trillion in spending cuts over 10 years. A committee of six Democrats and six Republicans will have to identify another $1.5 trillion in deficit reductions. Congress had to get proposal by November 23rd and vote within a month. What happens if committee cannot agree? Then enforcement treasure no as trigger would go into effect. It would cut money from domestic and defense programs but not in popular social programs for retirees and the poor. The budget deal contained no tax increases, but that issue had not gone away. Richard Gordon, now law professor at Case Western University in Ohio, says the deal leaves a big question. Was it going to be economic policy of federal government in the next 2 years? For VOA Special English, I'm Alex Villarreal. This is the VOA Special English Economist Report. In late November, an American congressional committee failed to agree how to cut the federal budget deficit by $1.2 trillion over 10 years. The core change in the Joint Select Committees on Deficit Reduction said we have come to conclusion today that it will not be possible to make any bipartisan agreement available to the public before the committee's deadline. The 12-member committee was created under the Budget Control Act of 2011. The group was equally divided between Democrats and Republicans. The goal to find acceptable ways to cut the federal deficit. Now, without an agreement that will fall to involuntary cuts through the act of sequestration. The budgetary terms of sequester and sequestration mean that the Treasury Department will withhold or cancel a set amount of spending. By law, equal cuts in both civilian and military spending will begin in 2013. A total of $1.2 trillion need to be cut. This is additional to cut about $900 billion required by budget law that created the Congress. The Defense Secretary Leon Panetta has warned that combination of costs could hurt the department. If sequester go into effect and it doubles the number of costs, then it will truly devastate our national defense. This had made some lawmakers feel uneasy. Representative Hal McConnell of California opposes new cuts in military spending. National defense had contributed enough to deficit reduction. Many lawmakers are concerned that with elections next year, programs important to voters in their areas will be cut. That would add to increased voting anger over what they consider a lack of action by lawmakers. President Obama had warned Congress that he would work an effort to cancel the spending cuts. Already, some in Congress are trying to undo the automated spend cuts. My message is simple. No, I will veto any effort to get rid of the automatic spending cuts. Experts say that Congress and the Obama administration could still reach agreement on budget cuts and taxes before the expectations take effect. For VOA Special English, I'm Alex Villarreal. Special English is VOA daily source of news and information for people learning English. You can read, listen, and learn with the text, NPB, and podcast at voaspecialenglish.com. You can also get English lesson 3 times a day, Monday through Friday, at the VOA Learning English page on Facebook.